Hey, you guys, happy Friday. Happy Friday. I guess y'all should be saying to me, welcome back, right? I've been off the grid for a few weeks, just trying to reset some things in my life and, hear a little bit more clearer. Let's be clear, pun intended. Hear a little bit more clear about the direction that I need to go in and how to get there, and who needs to go with me and who doesn't need to go with me. And so I've kind of stepped back a little bit over the past couple of weeks, and it's been amazing. But again, remember, I always tell you guys that I am committed to the commitment. This is something that was already on calendar, and I'm so grateful that I have people who are supportive to the things that I am doing. Of course, I've received phone calls and text messages like, no, we need you to be there. But this is what I want to say. You will thank me later, because I truly believe that if we aren't good enough for ourselves, if I'm not able to pour into myself or have someone pour into me, I'm depleting myself when I'm pouring into you guys. And so I don't want to do that. I want to be very effective with the things that God has given me to give to you. And so I had to tap out, and I'm still tapped out, but I have to do this right here with his approval. So listen, you guys, many of you know who I am. My name is Tamara Johnson. Tamara Burton. I am the owner, the creator, and founder of this platform, Let's Be Clear, and owner of Make It Rise, rebuild intentionally and strategically for effectiveness. And when I started this 2 years ago, the goal was to speak with married couples who have gone through some stuff, right? We tend to think that just because we see them in this light of everything is going well, that they just appeared there. But no, they went through some things. They had to go through some things. They had to experience some things. They had to, continue to say yes every day. They had to continue to say I do every single day, right? Remind themselves of what the vow said and what they committed to. And am I really committed to that thing? Because oftentimes we commit to the things that feel good. We commit to the things that look good. We commit to the things that people want us to commit to, but there are so many other things that is attached to that commitment, to those vows, that we must consider when we are going into this thing called marriage, right? And as a woman who was married for 14 years, in that relationship for 20, now have been divorced going on 4 years, there's so much that I've learned in the process and in the journey of that, right? So much about me, and not necessarily about my ex-husband or other people, but more so about myself and how and why God have me where he has me today. And I'm so grateful. I don't complain. I won't complain. I'll say that. I have complained, but I refuse to complain, because I know that everything that he does is on and with purpose, right? And so it's just a part of my journey, although sometimes it doesn't feel good, it doesn't look good, and it's not anything that I would choose for myself, but he did. And so that tells me that he knows that everything that he's put in me, he's like, girl, you got this. I know what I've created you to do and who I've created you to be, but I need you to know that. And so I am where I'm at today as a result of all of that. And again, I'm not complaining. I want to be what I once needed when I was in the valley of my marriage, when I was in the ups of my marriage, when I started dating and that wasn't looking right and that wasn't going right, and I ended that, and then I got into something else, and then just the work that I needed and still am doing on myself to create a better relationship, and better relationships in general. But as it relates to dating and then hopefully marriage, right? There's so much work that Tam has to do, you guys. I am Tam, yeah. And some folks will be like, no, no, not Tam, but yeah, Tam. Tam mess up sometimes too, you guys. And so I'm gonna be the first to say that I don't get it right all the time, and sometimes I have to press pause for the cause, right? And so this series, marriage versus dating, is it a thin line? The question, is it a thin line, is really near and dear to my heart, because there's so many of us out there that will say that there is a thin line. We'll agree to that. However, there's some that will say, well, I do things as a wife or as a husband while I'm dating so that he or she can see that I am capable, or he or she can see that I have the capacity, right? And all of those things sound good. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because to each his own, right? I have my own stance on it. I do it the way that I do it. Sometimes I bump my head. Sometimes God said that was too much, not enough. All of those things. But we are here on this platform, and I've brought in some of my friends prior to today. that were doctors, and the series was called The Doctors, right? I did that on purpose. Y'all know me in words. I'm a wordsmith, as I've been told. I try and grab the ear, right, so that I can then grab your heart and your mind, and then your attention to where you are actually willing and open and ready and available to do the work that it is going to take, regardless of what the topics are. So this one is marriage versus dating. Is it a thin line? I'm going to say it is. And I'll say yes, because if you are a person that wants to show an individual, or it's just who you are, right? That you are a wife or you are a husband, you have those capabilities, those tendencies, those qualities, there are certain things that you're going to do just to show it, right? But if it's just who you are, I say it's just who I am. God has shown me how to be his wife so that when my husband is here, I can be his wife, right? And so sometimes I do a lot. I do too much. I do. And sometimes I don't do enough. And sometimes I get it wrong. And guess what? When I'm corrected, I'm big enough. I'm not too big, I should say that, to say, you know what? I did that wrong. I was off on that one, right? How do I fix this thing? So that's what Let's Be Clear is all about. Let's be clear on doing it the proper way. What's done right at Tam's house may not be done at your house, And so I'm so grateful for my guests that have come on. My first guest was Dr. Walker, and she came in and she talked about where do you draw the line, right? Where do you draw the line with marriage and dating? And then we had Dr. McMillan. She talked about time spent together. Is it a such thing as too much? Can you spend too much time together? And then we had Dr. Keena that came on, talked about communication, right? Is there a such thing as too much while dating? Is there a such thing as too much while dating? And all of those were amazing. And I ask that you go back to our YouTube channel and follow them and look it up and write your notes and ask us questions. And, if you want to be a guest on the show, call me. You know what I'm saying? We can make it work. We can make it happen, and continue to be clear, right? But today, my lovely guest, Miss Danielle Thomas. She's LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist. I am going to bring her in to talk with me, to chat with me. As I always say to my guests, and I shared it with her when we were in the green room, this isn't scripted. I don't have anything that's scripted. That's just not how I do. I have tried it. I write my notes. I write my questions. And I'm like, I may ask the first question, but after that, it's a wrap. And I say that because prior to coming onto these shows, ladies and gentlemen, I do talk to God and I do ask him to give me the words to say. And I ask him to sit Tam down and he stand up more in me. And so sitting Tam down is sitting down the script that I've prepared for you guys. And so I am going to go ahead and bring my guest in on Dr. We'll get to that. Danielle Thomas, LMFT. And she's going to come in and share, and we're going to talk about how thin is the line, right? So the question is it a thin line? But we're going to talk about how thin the line is, how it can be, how thick it is. I don't know where this conversation is going to go. But one thing I can guarantee you is that it is going to go. So I'm going to bring her in and let her introduce herself to you all. Hey there.
Hey, before we start, you just spoke it into existence. You said doctor. So yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Indeed. That's right. Life and death lies in the power of your tongue, girl. You got to speak those things into existence.
Absolutely.
So welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. As I shared with the guest earlier, it was a minute. It was a break for me, and I wasn't sure if we were going to move forward with today's show. But I have to remember that I am committed to the commitment, and if God gives me the approval to go ahead on certain things, then I'm going to go ahead. I could have continued to lay in the bed and just chill, and said, "Hey, let's postpone this until a couple of weeks." But God has some things for me in a couple of weeks, so I can't do that, And I'm just grateful that you were available to come on with me today to share. So let the folks know who you are, what you do. If you have anything coming up, share that.
Sure. Hi. Thank you for having me, first of all. I am, like you said, Danielle Thomas. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I come from community mental health, corrections mental health. Now I focus solely on adult individuals, um, either married, going through divorce, considering being married, already married, the whole dynamic. Sometimes I do the whole family if that's necessary because as a licensed marriage and family therapist, I firmly believe that who we are is derived from the families that we were raised around. So the way that we interact with people comes directly from the people that raised us. So we learned our practices, our beliefs, and our all of those things from mama and daddy, grandma, auntie, cousins, or whatever in the home. And as we go into the world and we start encountering people in the world outside, dating, getting married, creating our own family, we bring a lot of that upbringing from our parents. And oftentimes, we don't even realize why we do certain stuff. So my job as a licensed marriage and family therapist to help people unpack that and figure out, is this you or is this what you learned to be you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. That's really good. And that just flows right into what it is we're going to talk about today as it relates to dating and marriage. How thin
Mm-hmm.
is the line? Is it a thin line? Do you believe that there is a thin line between marriage and dating?
That's a funny question because I'm like, what does that mean? I mean, you know how we say these things and we don't know what they mean. So I had to Google it to get a
Yeah.
really good understanding. And the definition that I came up with that I like the most, it says a very narrow division between two alternatives, one which is much worse than the other. Now, I don't know if that applies, but that's interesting that there's a definition that says there's got to be one worse than the other because I think in this particular topic, that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
But it depends on how you think, because some people do think marriage is worse than dating or vice versa.
That's good.
Yeah. So
I
for me, do I think it? I guess it's a thin line. I guess I would agree. It is a thin line.
Yeah, I would say the same. And I believe you and we have similar thoughts as it relates to being married and just dating someone. It
Mm-hmm.
really is all about the individual, how
Yeah.
you put out the things that you put out, how you move, how you operate,
Right.
how you commit, what your commitment levels are, the threshold of that. And so, yeah, I agree with you. With you reading that definition, I'm like, you know what? There is somebody out there that think, no, because if you marry, you ball and chain, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
dating someone, you
Mm-hmm.
can leave when you want to. But my thing is, let's remove the words. Let's remove the definition of dating. The word dating and the word marriage, and let's go to commitment. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about commitment. I believe it's
Right.
what you are willing to commit to at the front of that thing. So even in dating, in the beginning, there's certain things that you're willing to commit to right now that in 8 months, a year from now, it's going to be completely different. So that's where
Right.
growth begins to take place, and how effective communication is so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
imperative, because yeah, today I'm committed to dating just you, right? But or dating, I'm gonna say right now I'm committed to dating a few people, but maybe 5 months down the line, my commitment to myself is to date one person, to get connected
Right.
with one person. So I believe there's such a huge shift as we move forward in both relationships.
Yeah, I agree. Thinking back to the male figure in my life, which was my grandfather, I remember him always saying, "Make sure you save something for your husband."
Mm,
And as a child hearing, I'm like, "What does that mean, Grandpa?" But after going through being a single mom and then later on being married and then later on being divorced and then back into the dating and all that kind of stuff, when you're in the dating pool, it's like everyone says, well, you got to act like a wife. You got to show them that you're wife material. You know how draining that can be for an individual to constantly have to cook and clean and cater to this man and he's not the right one.
right.
And then that ends. And you got to cook and clean and cater to the next man, and he ain't the one either. And so I have a very different attitude about that. I'm going to be a good person to a good person.
That's
But
good.
you're not going to get what my husband's going to get because you haven't earned that. And I
Yeah.
don't expect you to give me what your wife would get because I haven't earned that either. But there's going to be good people engaging. And I really that's kind of where I draw my line. That's where my line is drawn. There's some things that when I do get married again, fingers crossed, when I do get married again, he's going to get something from me that all the men before him that I dated did not get.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he earned that because he has given me his last name.
That's good. It's funny that you talk about last name, because when I do come back to the next series will be about taking on the last name.
Oh, that's a big discussion in my house.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am, it is.
yes, that is the next series. But yeah, you said something that was powerful. You said your grandfather told you to save some for your husband. It's so funny because one of my best friends, she just left here not too long ago, and she had a cute little outfit, right? And I was like, oh, I said, yo, honey, saw you in that, and she said, he's her husband, and she said, yeah, but he always says, now save some for me, because I'm your husband, right? That's something completely different. What the world get and others get versus what I get,
Right.
And so it's funny that you say that, but that's powerful in itself, because nowadays, unfortunately, and we are teaching our children, some of us are teaching our children to show it all, to give it all, to be it all, to do it all, right? And for me, I am teaching my daughters, I try to teach my daughters by example. I think that's the best way to teach, is by example. Have I always gotten it right? No, ma'am. No, sir. There are some things that I've taught them that I had to go back and reteach, or try to help them unlearn, to redo some things, as a result of, you do what you know what you know. And as you said, when you first came on, you talked about how we learn from, is it who you are, is it something that you taught,
right? Right.
The majority of the time, it's what you were taught, because being in a home for, let's say, 18 years, 17 years, with a couple, or with mom or with dad, you learn some ways how to do things, how not to do things, right? And then you step into this relationship and you're told to do something completely opposite of what you've been taught all of these years of your life. That can be very challenging, So when we talk about marriage versus dating, and I said earlier how some folks will say that marriage is harder than dating, because if you're married, it's, you locked in. That's it. I'm divorced. Yeah. I'm a divorcee.
Me too.
Right. So we know that that's not the truth, and let's be clear. I am not proposing, or I am not suggesting or supporting divorce. But what I am supporting is a healthy individual. Right?
Absolutely.
Regardless of what relationship it is, my goal is to push, encourage, and support you as a happy, healed, and whole individual before you even step into dating, before you step into a place of saying, this is my person, my guy, my girl, or we're getting married. Because if you are an unhealthy individual, that is going to spill over into the marriage. And I think we've lost a lot of doing the work with the popcorn relationships, right?
Yeah. Well, we date at our maturity level. So the type of man that I dated 20 years ago, I would never entertain now. Just the type of man I dated 10 years ago, I would never entertain now, because my level of maturity is upgraded. My level of understanding my value and my self-worth has upgraded. So when I upgraded myself, I have to upgrade the man that I bring into my world. And oftentimes we get locked into relationships very early on because we love each other and we love this, that, and the other. We create a home. And then later on, you hear people saying, oh, well, you've changed. Well, it's not so much that you've changed, because change is not a bad thing. We're supposed to mature. It's just that we've changed in different directions.
Right.
And then that's where discord presents in marriages, and even in long-term committed dating relationships, because there's a lot of people that function as a quote unquote societal marriage that have never taken vows in front of someone that's ordained to give them those vows, but they live life in the same way. So it's really about understanding who you are, and people, we talk about communication. Communication is key. It is, but people think that communication is about talking. Communication is also about listening. And if you can't listen, there's a big gap in the communication. What style of communication are we having when we're talking to people? Are we considering the families that we were raised in, that we brought into this relationship? Those things can't be pushed away. If you were raised with these traditions in your home, and the person that you're dating was raised with very different traditions in their home, and then you come together and
Yeah.
neither one of you are aware of the things that you're bringing into the relationship, you're starting off on rocky ground.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
don't have these conversations in dating.
Right, right. Absolutely. That's good. I definitely agree with that. And you mentioned something about listening, right? Being a form of communication. I personally think that's probably one of the most important ones,
Mm-hmm.
because how do I know what it is that you need? How do I know how to feed your need if I'm not able to properly listen? And
Right.
sometimes we go in and we want to talk, talk, talk. This is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I do. This is who I am. We want to say all of those things, but we aren't willing to sit back and receive what the other person is saying because
Exactly.
we're so busy trying to feed you our need
Right.
that we are negating that you also have needs as well. And then it's in that listening where we'll learn who the person really is from childhood, not just their past relationship, but what
Right.
they were taught as a child, right? And oftentimes what I've learned is that we have to, something that I've been talking about recently, we have to get a blank canvas,
Mm-hmm.
right? So even you go into you meet someone. Let's start there. You meet someone and you think, okay, let me, let's see,
Hey, Kim.
you right. He cute. You look at all of the exterior, right? He's
Right.
tall, he's this, he works here. You look at all of those things and it looks good on paper. It looks good in front of you, right? But then the more that you become aware of the inner, things begin to shift. They don't look as good as they used to look.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Mm-hmm.
they did that turned you on are now turning you off. It's so much about that. But that is the time where you say, okay, wait a minute. I see that I am bringing you, maybe my past stuff. I am
Mm-hmm.
bringing you what I know to be true in my past, like as a child or a past relationship.
Right.
You got to be honest about it. That's the thing. And vice versa. The other person is saying the same thing. But are we willing to rebuild this thing that works for us, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
what works for my mom and dad may not work for me and the guy that I'm
Right.
dating. And what works for you and your mom and dad may not work for me, you and I. So are
Right.
you willing to put up a blank canvas and begin to draw and erase and draw?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take. You're gonna have to have the dry erase marker and an eraser, some
Mm-hmm.
tiles, because everything that you draw may not work. It may
Right.
be
Right.
like I thought that was going to be good for us, but it's not. So it goes back to commitment. What are you
Mm-hmm.
committed to doing in these relationships,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thin line for marriage and dating is very thin. However, there is no line with commitment, but the commitment is created and designed by the two individuals.
Right. I agree with that. Commitment is really foundational. Are you committed to adjusting? Like, people will say, I don't want to change, or I'm not going to change. And I think it's important to understand that sometimes, no, you're not being asked to change who you are, but change what you do. And they're two different things. You can be the person that you are, but are you responding based off of, me triggering you and reminding you of something else that you experienced? It's really, like you said, seeing that blank canvas, being able to see the truth on that canvas, and being able to erase what's there, or maybe not even erase it, because I think you need to pay homage to everything you've ever been through, because I went through what I went through to get me exactly where I am right now. It was all necessary. Every single heartbreak, every tear, every sleepless night, it was necessary.
Yeah,
However, can you divide that canvas and keep that there and pay respect to
yeah,
that? But can you create something new? It's about
yeah,
progression, and even more so, in my living room, we have this portrait of a man and a woman laying on each other, and she has his chest is an open book, and she's holding a pen writing on him, and her
mm,
face has something like a canvas, and he's painting on her. And
love
that's
it.
such a powerful picture, because it really is just saying that we both have a story. We can come together and we can continue writing our story moving forward. And
Yeah.
I like that, so it's similar to what you're saying, having that blank canvas and being able to erase and draw things. And yeah, I think that's super important. It's about flexibility to the commitment too.
Absolutely, absolutely, because things are going to change, as you said earlier. We're supposed to evolve, we're supposed to grow, we're supposed to change, right? And people will come in and say, "You've changed." Well, yeah, because here's the thing. When we first got together, when we first started talking or engaging, the things that we were focused on were very minimal. There
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a lot but then as we continue to grow as friends and whatever it's growing into, we began to add stuff to it. So now I'm sharing with you my calendar. Now
Mm-hmm.
the things that I have going on throughout the day, or I'm saying, hey, let's go here. So now we have all of these added things, and it doesn't take away from where we started, but we just have to be in position and be available to add to and still continue to do. Like, so if I'm the type of person that when I see my guy, I want to dress a certain way. I want to look good. I want to
Mm-hmm.
smell good because I
Yeah.
know how it makes him feel when I do this. I can't get so comfortable so that now I'm no longer doing that. I'm no longer, dressing,
Right.
make sure that he likes what he sees, right? Because in that vein alone, Sheila is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, and Sheila dressing to the nines,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Mm-hmm.
it's it's a choice that he has to make, or she. It goes both ways. It's a
Mm-hmm.
choice that has to be made.
I
However,
think I think I agree with that to a degree, though.
okay, okay,
Because I think that I agree with you. Sheila, Shanae, and everybody, they out there and they
yeah,
waiting. They're waiting for Mr. Goodman. They are.
yeah,
And so I agree that once you get him, I always say stay how you started.
got it.
You know what I'm saying? So if he met you looking all glamorous and beautiful, stay that way. But I
Mhm.
also agree, or I also think and believe that when you've made a commitment, that you've committed to also seeing me on those days when I'm tired,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
those days that I've worked a 12-hour shift, on those days that I had to go be somebody else's shoulder to cry on, those days that just life took place.
yeah.
I need you to see that I'm human as well, and that
Right.
this is what I'm doing for you. I'm giving this to you because I love you and I see something in you. However, see something in me to know that, okay, if my baby not looking that good this week, this month, there's something going on. It's got to be a two-way street. I don't believe, and I don't know where this thought came from, but I don't believe that women should always have to be turned on. And when I say turned on, I mean like a light switch. I don't
Yeah,
think that we should have to always be turned on for our men. I think that when you are committed, the commitment lasts beyond the switch being turned off.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. So in that, I agree. I will say that. So when I speak about having, showing up the way you showed up, in the beginning, I'm talking about when we hang out, when we go out, when we're going to dinner, when we're going, on dates
Oh
and all of
yeah,
those things. But I definitely agree with you. Like, you're going to get the raw and rough
right.
times sometimes. Like, hey, the hair appointment next week, not this week.
Right.
Sorry, sir. Oh, you saw that track, right? I mean, it is what it is. But I had to grow into that, Danielle. I had to
Hmm.
grow into saying I don't have to be the 9 or the 10 every time my dudes see me. I had to
Hmm.
grow into that. And I mean, recently, I was just sharing with my male friend that I recall judging the man that I was dating according to how he dressed. Like,
Mm.
like, ooh,
I
ugh.
still do that.
And you say you still do it?
He better not walk out this house not looking good.
I
Let me
mean, I
check
get
you
it.
out.
But see, we'll go to I'm gonna say Lowe's, Home Depot, and we just throw on some
Mm.
sweats and t-shirt and we roll, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you, before the man that I was dating, I was where are you going? But for me, it comes with maturity, as you said, and you grow into a different mature compartment of your life. Some things just don't matter. But I know that the guy I'm talking about, dress. He can dress. He's a dresser, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe that also play a part in when we going just to the store or something. It's nothing, right? You can throw on a
Mm-hmm.
t-shirt and some sweats, and I'm good. But I'm still gonna stand on. We can't get too relaxed and comfortable and
Mm-hmm.
feel like because it begins to sound like I got you now, so I can just cheat.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
mindset right there will throw you off.
Yeah.
It's all bad, So
Yeah.
maybe I should talk about the mindset behind what it is that or how you're looking,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah, that start how you gonna stay is some real stuff. That's a real statement.
Right,
You need, if I got you knowing how to get dressed, I need you to stay that way. Now gray sweat season is coming on, and
uh-oh,
I'm a gray sweats and a white t-shirt person, and I don't have no problem with that. But know how to dress the occasion.
yeah,
Or if you don't know how to dress the occasion, be open to someone who can help you get there to dress the occasion.
that's right.
So I am a woman that will lay out. Now we live together, so when he travels a lot for work, so when he's going out, I lay out his clothes for him. Put the shoes on the bottom so he can pack his suitcase so he can see what he's going to wear. He'll take stuff out. He knows how to put an outfit together too.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there's a difference between looking really good in an outfit and being fashionable. I like fashionable, so
yeah,
I'll put it together fashionably.
got
Um,
it.
but again, this is almost 7 years into our relationship. He wouldn't have gotten that 3.5 years ago, that
Got
because
it.
that to me, and we weren't living together then either, so that divide of dating versus marriage, it kind of doesn't apply in our situation because we're not married. However, we live as a married couple. We sit under the same roof, we paying mortgage together, got we do everything married couples do, and probably a lot more than some married couples do,
Yeah,
so it I don't know what else you would call it though. If we remove those words, marriage and dating, what would we call it?
partners,
And that he laughs at me. He's like, "Why are you calling me your life partner?" I'm like, "Cause that's what you are."
your life partner.
I call him my life partner. Yeah, because I'm not gonna. I'm too old to have a boyfriend. He's not
Girl,
my husband.
if one more person say your boyfriend, my
I'm too old for
godsister
that.
said that.
I'm too old
But
for that. I'm too old for
yeah,
boyfriend. So this is
no
my life
boyfriends, no
partner,
girlfriends. Right.
right?
No
This is
partner, life partner, because that's what
right.
it is. When you think about partnership, we have to bridge, we have to come together, and it's individuals, but together we become partners. And so I think it's
Absolutely.
very important in relationships, whatever relationship it is, whether you're dating or you are married, that we first understand that we do have to acknowledge the individual thoughts that we have. We can't just give in to the other person just because he is the man and the word says that he is the head. And
Right.
if the head and the man and the protector and all of those things, he understand what you bring to this relationship, he'd hear you out, right? And whether he agree or not, it's not that because you're the woman you don't have a voice, you know.
Yeah. That's not what people tend to take the Bible scriptures and finagle them to their benefit. And
Yes,
I mean, the one scripture that says not to do that very specifically, lean not to thine own understanding. We
right.
claim to ignore that one,
Yeah, we don't even
However,
talk about that one.
right, people that it bothers me so much when I hear people in the church or people that's grown up in the church or whatever from the church say things like, well, the man is the head, the man is the head, the man is the head. And it's like, well, first of all, you have to understand the head doesn't do anything without a neck and the rest of the
Listen,
body.
it can't move, right?
It does absolutely nothing. So you've got to understand that this doesn't mean that he is the person that's supposed to do it all. It
Right,
just means that he is the person that's going to initiate many things, but he still needs the support of a woman. You
absolutely.
That's a whole nother topic of a whole nother
That's a whole different series.
that's a whole
We'll
nother
get there.
series. But in a nutshell, I do the marriage versus dating, it's a big topic that I actually kind of got into an exchange, not an argument or anything, with someone on social media just recently, saying that women need to and I'm paraphrasing, but women need to show the men that she can cook and clean and keep a house so that she can keep a man. And this is one of the women reasons why Black women are single and this, that, and the other. And I was like, my God, you have not done anything beyond Wikipedia and Google for your research, because that's just not there's so many reasons why women are single now. And one
Yeah,
of them is the belief that our mindset has changed, that we do not need a man's success to be successful. And in older years,
yeah,
our success was determined by our husbands.
yeah,
And I'm not at all against marriage. I absolutely want to be married again, and this time around will be the last time, if God willing, knock on wood.
yeah.
Um, but I think that we send the wrong message to our younger generations that they have to do a certain thing in order for a man to be attracted to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're sending as equally as wrong message to our men to tell them that if the woman's not doing this, she is not worthy of.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I definitely agree with that, and I think we were talking about that a little earlier on. That we're teaching the wrong thing. We are doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we are. It's like, hey, 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 look at me, look at me. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
No, just be right. Just be. Don't do the extras. You don't have to wear all your everything out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do all of those things. The essence of you is going to come through who you are, not what you are.
Yeah.
How you respect yourself is how you're teaching others to respect you. Think about what it is you like today, but you may, in some years, you may not like those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, as you said, start the way you start is the way you need to finish. You got to keep that thing going. So, you walk out of the house and you're showing a man or a woman certain things, because men do it as well. They they show all the money that they have. But is that what you want your woman to respect you for? The money that you
Mm-hmm.
have? What about
Mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
character? What about your integrity, right? What about the love that you have for your mother? Like, what about those important things what about your credit? Like, all those things that are going to matter at
Problem solving,
problem solving.
anger management.
To listen, like,
Yeah.
what about all of those things? I don't care. We guess what we can get together? Money. We can
Mm-hmm.
create and build in that area together, but I can't build your integrity. I can't build your respect for. That's a you thing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you have to come with that, or at least, I mean, for some they would say, at least let me see you have the capacity for it. Some folks say, no, no, you need to be already in it. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people are chasing love. They want to be loved, they want to give love. And so when I have people come into my sessions and they're talking about, like, especially a woman that's contemplating, or a man that's contemplating, separation versus a divorce or staying, and I'm like, well, why? Give me your, cost, and benefit analysis of what's going to cost you to stay, what's it going to cost you to leave, what's going to benefit you if you stay, what's going to benefit you to leave. And it's always comes back to, I love him and I love her. And I said, well, that's not enough. That's just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's not a love. No, that's, women and men have killed each other, raped
Loved
each
each other.
other, and over love.
Yeah.
So what else do you have besides love? Do you like each other? Do
That
you
part.
respect each other?
Yeah.
Those things matter to me. I want you to love me, but you can love me and hurt me. But if you
Absolutely.
like me, you won't hurt me. If
Yeah.
you respect me, you won't hurt me. But you can absolutely love me. And so I think whether we're married or we're dating, it's got to be that you got to look for more than love.
Yeah.
Because if you settle on love, you will settle for anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Because love feels good. You
Yeah.
know, love feels good. Life doesn't always feel good. You can love someone, uh, and you can love someone and not like them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I've seen it happen too many times where people are raising kids and then the kids get grown and they gone, and then you have the couple sitting there like, I don't even know you. I don't like you. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem in
Mm-hmm.
itself. And so I absolutely agree with you on the love thing. Yes, love me. I want you to love me. Please love me. But I also
Right.
want you to like me, and I want
Right.
you to respect me, and I want you to
Yes.
honor me, and I'm gonna do the same for you. And we're not
Right.
gonna always get it right. There are gonna be some things that we drop the ball in, we fumble on, but are we committed to working together?
Right.
Right? What does correcting mistakes look like for you? How do you respond to certain things? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we have to have these conversations before we even step into anything that even remotely looks serious. Some folks
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, you don't have those conversations until you know that this is someone you're going to grow with. No, I don't want to be serious, and then now I'm learning that this fool,
Right.
you know it's a
Yeah.
no. It's a hard no.
Right, right. Yeah,
So
and it's funny because in 20 year ago me, when I had a friend that would jump into a relationship with somebody, let them know, I want to be married and I wanted this and I wanted that. We were like, girl, you gonna run him away. And my 20 something year old self couldn't fathom why you would go into a relationship early off and say, look, I want to be married. I want to have kids. I want to do this, that, and the other. But now at this age, I mean, hey, yeah, I'm going to tell you, yes, I'm not saying I'm going to marry you.
right,
But what I'm saying is that I want to be
right,
married.
yeah,
And
I
it,
date with the purpose. Yeah,
And if you don't want to be married, that's okay, but we don't need to go past this date. Because
Absolutely.
we could never even fathomly see if we're compatible because the foundational thing that I want, you don't.
That's right.
And
And
so
it's
yeah,
okay.
and it's okay.
Right.
But you're not for me. Now here's the
Right.
bill,
Right.
pay for this meal.
And that's why it's good. Exactly. And thank you. And that's why it's good to do that earlier on, because
Mhm.
now we're not, a few months in, and I'm like, dang, I'm kind of feeling
Mhm.
and that was harder for you to say, well, I'm gonna step away, because some women
So
think that
I
they can change a man.
absolutely.
Knew where I was going with that.
Yes, I did.
A
Yeah.
man is not going to change unless he wants to change. I don't care
Hmm.
how good the nook is, the book is, the bop
Hmm.
is. If he doesn't want to change, he's not changing.
Not
That's
at
it.
all.
He's not changing. So
And the thing is, a man will change, but you might not be the one to make the change for him. That's
yeah,
just the way it
yeah.
is. Well, why you marry her and not me? Well,
Listen.
you weren't the one.
So that's the word right there. That look, that is the word right there. He will change, but you may not be the one with the oil to help him to change. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And you gotta just be okay with that.
Right.
Everybody has a person. Everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you may see some things in the other person that you're dating that you didn't see in the person you dated before. It still doesn't mean that that's the one. I personally believe, Danielle, you will know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just you just know. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we try to force it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's supposed to be, if it is, it's inevitable. It will just
Mm-hmm.
happen. It will
Yeah.
happen. Yeah, there's work to do. Don't get me wrong. You can't just wake up and be like, because I know. No, there will be work to
Right.
do. But how that work is done, how willing you are to do the work, all of those things that come together, you'll know. You'll know.
I will be very honest with you. My current relationship, and hopefully the final one, we've been together, it'll be 7 years in November. Um, when I knew he was the one for me, is when I knew that I was going to have to change some things about myself in order to be with him.
That's
Because I
good.
knew certain things about me he wasn't going to deal with. And I saw something in him that made me want him, that made me want to. And I swear to you, maybe I'm not giving the accurate wording of explaining this, but I wanted this relationship. I wanted him so much that those things that I thought would never be free from me, I had to seriously dig deep to work on.
Yeah.
And now I don't mean that they all fixed. They're not all
Right.
fixed because it's a life of things, right? So a life of things don't change in a couple of years. It's my whole entire life that I've dealt with things.
Yeah.
However, I'm very, very aware of those things, and I know how to stop and pause and walk away and take some time for myself to make sure that my things don't become our things.
That's good. That's real
Yeah.
good. Thank you. You
You're
just
welcome.
gave me something. But thank you. I love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good. If I can't even share this right now. It's just I'm in the middle of something right now that just hit home. But
Mm-hmm.
thank you. I appreciate that. And that was good. And I'm sure it hit home for me. I'm certain that it hit home for some other folks that are listening. But Danielle, if you could leave the people with something in regards to, just what we've been talking about in general, if you could leave them with something, a tool, a nugget, what would that be?
Hmm. I think that we need to learn how to give ourselves a pause before we do anything. A pause before you respond, a pause before you speak, a pause before you behave. Just pause that second, because in that second, if there's a book called The 5 Second Rule. You count to 5 seconds before you make a decision. You might change your mind before you decide. So count.
Yeah.
Take that 5 second pause.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like it. So you guys heard it right here on Let's Be Clear. She said to take a 5 second pause before you make that decision. Sometimes we think and we act. And,
Mm-hmm.
and once you react or you respond, it's a little too late, because you can never, even when saying I'm sorry, right? That person, you've already planted a seed in the other person, or just in the relationship in general. So we have to be
Right.
very mindful and careful when we are replying or responding to something. So thank you so much, Danielle. And I just want to congratulate you, because I know you're continuing education so that you can be PhD, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm so grateful to just be in the space with someone who is dedicated, to doing the work, to moving forward. You are very encouraging to me, and I'm grateful and glad that I have you as a friend and that you said
Thank you.
yes, to come on to the show, take time out of your day from you and your honey. I don't take it for granted. I know you could be doing a million other things, but you're doing this with me, helping me push the mission and the vision of Let's Be Clear. So again, I say thank you.
I appreciate you for having me, dear. I enjoyed it. Invite me back when you're ready to.
I sure will. We're gonna get on that last name thing in the next series. So be
Let me
ready.
know. Let me know.
All right, you guys. So it's been great. If you have any questions or you have any suggestions or you disagree or agree, let us know. Put them in the comments. That's what this is about. We're not on here to say that we have it all together and everything that we're saying is right. We're still working through some things, as you heard the both of us say. And so we may need to read something that you think about, something that was said. And so please do not be afraid to share this particular show as well. Like it and share it on to someone else because somebody needs this. And that's what this is all about. We just want to be clear about what life is when you are married or when you are dating, what the difference is and how thin that line can be. Once again, I say thank you all. Have an amazing Friday. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.